The Forum for Former African Heads of State as well as government have all sent their well wishes and have thanked Madiba for his patronage and his guidance. Well, our reporter, Cathy Mohlahlana, is live in Pretoria. She joins us now. Now, Cathy, we've watched Madiba get admitted to the hospital more and more frequently over the last couple of years. Just remind us of his history of health scares.
Well, good afternoon to you, Mabali. It's really been over the past 2.5 years or so that we've seen Nelson Mandela re-hospitalized quite a number of times. If I can take us back perhaps to 2011 when he was admitted to Mill Park Hospital for a respiratory infection. He spent 2 days there. Now, during that hospitalization period, there was a clampdown of information about his condition. No officials willing to go on record to confirm exactly how he was doing or even the reasons why he had been admitted to hospital, causing quite a stir and really allowed the rumor mill to come up with all sorts of speculation. And that's when we saw then a need for turnaround in strategy in terms of the communication from officials just on how Madiba is doing and any concerns around his health. The next time that he was admitted to hospital was in February 2012. Again, it was an exploratory surgery. He had been complaining about abdominal pains and they just wanted to check what the problem was. Now, last year particularly, he spent quite a lot of time in hospital. After being discharged in February, he was back again in December, where he spent over 3 weeks in hospital, probably one of the longest stays that he's had in hospital. It wasn't just for a recurring lung infection, but he was also being treated for the removal of gallstones. Now, that's when he was admitted to one military hospital with the Defense Minister, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, confirming on record to journalists that that was where he was treated. But then it later turned out that it may not necessarily have been true, because then there were other reports suggesting that he had been moved to this hospital. But again, officials failing to keep the public in the loop about his health and where exactly he's being treated. Since then, we've seen the presidency, or rather we've seen official government communication shy away from actually confirming the hospital where he's being treated, but rather giving updates just on how he's doing. And of course, earlier on this year in March, he was admitted for a day in hospital. It was a scheduled appointment and he was discharged the next day after spending one night at a Pretoria hospital. It was in April that we saw him spend about 9 days in hospital. He was being treated for pneumonia. I think the consistency that we see throughout his hospitalizations is that the breathing problems, the recurring lung infections, it seems to be an ongoing battle for him. Yesterday, Mac Maharaj said that people must remember that this is a problem he's been battling since he was in prison, and so his recovery to it becomes slower as he grows older, and that must always be taken into account. And of course, again, yesterday when he was re-hospitalized, it was in the early hours of the morning. At 1:30, doctors who had been treating him at home rushed him to hospital after his condition had deteriorated tremendously. The latest that we have is that we are still waiting for an update from the presidency about how he is doing. Mac Maharaj has said that he would be releasing a statement round about noon. When we spoke to him this morning, he hadn't spoken to Madiba's doctors yet. He said that the last report he had was the one he told us, where Madiba was stable but remained in a serious condition, also quashing rumors about whether or not he was able to breathe on his own, saying that he was breathing normally and that should there be any change in his condition, the presidency will issue a statement.
Cathy, this is no doubt a story of great interest here at home and internationally as well. A lot of people sending well wishes and sending their prayers. What are some of the papers saying today about Madiba being in hospital?
Well, absolutely. You know, once news of his hospitalization was made public, we saw quite a reaction, not just on Twitter, on Facebook, social networks, people praying for Madiba to get well. And the Sunday newspapers have also gone with the story. If I can just take us through some of them in case you're home and you haven't had an opportunity to pop out yet. The City Press going with pray for Madiba, us an emotional Zuma. He was speaking in the Eastern Cape yesterday, where he was attending to a personal engagement, but he urged people to continue supporting him and his family during this time, saying that he should get well. Of course, there's a lot of support again from the presidency and also from the ANC, who issued a statement yesterday. Another paper, the Sunday World, they have a mural there of Madiba. They have a man who's standing near a makeshift shop near murals of former President Nelson Mandela. Again, ordinary South Africans who are just concerned about how Madiba is doing, want him to get well, and making sure that their message of support not only reaches him, but reaches their family. We understand that the number of visitors he's being allowed at this time is very limited. They're allowing only a few people to go in and see him. His wife, Graça Machel, has been at his bedside since he was readmitted to hospital in the early hours of this morning, and we understand that she's been consistently with him. Other family members have not necessarily been given that opportunity because they want to keep the environment he's in rather stable. Perhaps if you can look at the Sunday Independent, the Nation again, praise for Tata Madiba. He's been battling this condition for the past couple of days. Graça cancelled a trip that she was supposed to take to London, and messages of support also from opposition parties. I'll end it off with the Sunday Times there, Mabali. They spoke to a friend of Madiba, saying that the headline in itself could be quite controversial. Quoting him, they're saying it's time to let him go. Now, they spoke to Andrew Mhlangeni, who's a long-time friend of Madiba, and he says that while he wishes him a speedy recovery, he believes that people should prepare themselves to let him go, because he isn't immortal. And it's again one of the things that Mac Maharaj raised yesterday, that we know that he's getting old and that we should be prepared for any eventuality. Yes, they're giving him the best treatment and medication possible, but there can really be no guarantees.
All right, well, thank you very much to our eNCA reporter, Cathy Mohlahlana. We await that update from the presidency, which has been promised to be delivered to us later on today. We'll be keeping in touch with Cathy.
News that moves. eNCA.com.